Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kina ke uta, kia mā tara ki tai. E hi aki ana te atakura, he teo he huka, he hauhu, tihe Māori ora. So welcome to our Tuesday session of our hui. It's going really well so far. I've already learned lots and been inspired this morning. So thank you for all of those of you who have been with us for a couple of sessions already. We've got a great lineup today. We've got 3 speakers, and so we'll get into that pretty quickly. We have Livnay from Waiheke Island, we have Louise and Lynn from Sustainable Whanganui, and we have Daniel from Beautification Trust in Auckland. So we'll get underway, and then once we've had those speakers, you can choose which breakout room that you would like to go into to hear more and ask those speakers some questions. So I will invite Daniel to speak first, and then we'll go to Livnay, Louise and Lynn. So over to you, Daniel.
Sorry, just trying to find the unmute button. Kia ora tātou, everyone. Lovely to be here and to have a good chat with you. So just want to check everyone can see the screen?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm here to talk a little bit about tech today. So just wanting to delve a bit deeper into the whole world of tech and give you a little bit of a story around our journey with that experience as well. So first up, why is it important? There's lots of reasons why tech is important, but ultimately for us at the Beautification Trust, it comes back to our mission. So what it's all about for us is it's actually more so about the enabling aspect of what tech can do. It means that we can really, really push forward our mission and what we're all about, and to let tech be actually that enabler. That means that we can be the best that we can do more in terms of our impact of connecting and empowering communities to love, learn and look after the environment. So as good leaders, we want to be able to enable our staff, our volunteers, to be able to have the tools that they need to be able to do their job really, really well. And the more that we can do that, the more it means that that staff and volunteers can feel empowered and feel like they're valued with being invested into as well. So I'd like you all just to sort of cast your minds back to the early 2000s. I don't know where you were at in your career at that time, but I was just starting out, and I'd recently just started at World Vision as a new graduate. And what it was like back in those days was it looked a little bit like this in terms of when you jumped into a database. It was a SQL database, and it was just all very complicated. And what shortly after I started there, I learnt was that, man, tech is really, really complicated, and there's a lot to be said for not-for-profits doing tech well. Because after a few months starting there, I was asked to join a particular project where the organisation World Vision was going through a journey of changing their tech. And that was their database, their CRM system, and basically wanting to move into something that was much more user-friendly and that all the staff could use. And that had been through cost overruns. It had been taking years more than it was meant to, and it was basically doing what you don't want tech to do, to take away from your mission. So I want to just share a few stories, a few anecdotes from the various organisations that I've been at, and also at Beautification Trust, as to how to do some of these tech changes well, also some of the failures that we've had, and just to be able to have a korero around tech and how to make the most of it. So I guess from a tech personality, we're all somewhere on a scale, probably from the technophobe, who is, someone who, would probably resonate with the association of having someone on speed dial, that IT support person that you're always calling up, or your child or someone else in your life, where you actually are constantly asking them, what do I do? What do I do? I've got this big problem. Or you might be at the other end of the scale, which is the technocrat, who is the person who just loves and thrives on new technology and just absolutely just takes it and absorbs it, and who you just know gets everything in terms of tech. And then there's that person in the middle. So it might be someone who we would refer to as a techno-tween, who kind of, understands it, gets it, but, it's not the be all and end all for them too. So what we'll do as part of our conversation is we've got a little personality test to see where you fall on that scale, but you might already have a bit of a sense as to where you sit already. And then what I would like us to do when we break out, and if you're joining my session, is I just want to talk you through some of the journeys that we've been on. And I don't know if any of you are from that time where you loved that Pick a Path book. Anyone done that before? And it was the book where you could turn to page such and such, and you basically made that decision as to how that story was going to end. So I would like you to pick the path that I take in terms of the korero that we have today, and help guide whether you'd like to have a conversation more around a payroll system, around project management, around having some flexible database management systems, whether it's around employee and health and safety aspects, which we've put in a system called Engage, whether it's about how you better engage with your board and your trustees and have some really smart technology there, or whether it's about how you better engage with your staff and have really interactive conversations with them, especially when we're in this environment of hybrid working and remote working as well. So, these are some of the journeys that we've been on as a trust, and it's real life examples as to how they relate to a Enviro Hub. So I would like, if you are joining my session, for you to guide where that conversation goes. Next up is just touching on some of the things that I'll be talking about in the session, is around asking the right questions. We'll be touching on 5 different things that you should be asking as questions when you are looking at different technology. So just to give you a snapshot, so that one of the ones that I will be covering is what benefit does it give you? You should be looking at the long-term benefit that technology will be giving you, and thinking about, is it actually creating you more stress and hassle than the solution that you might already have? Just because it's old doesn't mean it's not the best solution, but I'll look at a couple of ways that you can look at this and get the best out of making that question, or getting that answer right, of what benefit does it give you. Next up, the top tips to ponder. So I'll cover off 5 different top tips that you should be pondering. And one of the top tips that I've got for you now in this session that I'll share with you is to work out what your wish list is. What's that wish list or that needs assessments that you're really wanting to make sure that you're capturing from moving to a new piece of technology? So it's really important to be able to have a chance for yourself and your team to be able to have essentially what is a brain dump of all the things that you want to see in terms of the functionality in a new solution. So, that could be as simple as developing up a spreadsheet, having lots of columns in there around, or lots of rows in there as to what functionality you want to see in a new solution, and then having the various different options running along the different columns, and then just a simple yes, no to does it actually cover off what you're needing, and then being able to weigh up those options against each other before you make a final decision on what solution you're going with. That's one of the top tips. And then how to get buy-in from your team. So I'll cover this off in greater detail, but one of the top tips around this is to really make sure that you're finding a champion within your organization, that person who has the right level of understanding, both from a strategic perspective and also the operational. So that person who would know what you're trying to get out of it, but also who loves getting into the detail and who understands technology. So that's something that I think is really, really important, and that we've found to be vital when we've rolled out new technology in our organisation. So that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of some of the things that I'll be covering. and also gives you some top line things that even if you're not attending the session that you can take away and consider as well. So I'll pass you over back to Georgina.
It sounds like such a treasure trove of resources. Thank you, Daniel. If you do choose to go to one of the other talks, we will be recording Daniel's session, so you won't miss out. So I will pass over to Liv now.
Kia ora koutou. I'm going to dive right in, and then I've got some leading questions for the discussion. So let me do for us. Mauri ora kia tātou. E koa ana te ngākau, I te mai a hau I tēnei rā, I runga I te reo karanga o te rā, no reira ka nui te mihi ki a tātou katoa. Ka mangakea te maunga ko Ngāti Hebrew te iwi I whānau mai o EHA reira, kei te motuara roa a hau e noho ana, kei Waiheke Resources Trust a hau e mahi ana, ko livne toku ingoa, no reira tēnā tātou katoa. So I'm going to start off with some whakawhanaungatanga, which I promise is relevant. So who am I? I have a history of volunteering. I started off back in high school and at uni. And then when I came to Waiheke Island, I was in a position of privilege that meant that I could also start volunteering on the motu. And that was a way for me to get involved with my community. So that was in July 2018. I quickly became an intern at Waiheke Resources Trust, and that was a 3-month part-time internship. And then after that, I stayed on as a very part-time staff member, doing a little bit of grant coordination and liaising and some admin. And then in the summer of 2019 to 20, I ran the Beach Ambassadors project, because this was pre-COVID, so that was a public engagement project that was happening at the time. And then in February 2020, I was offered a full-time role at Waiheke Resources Trust, which I gratefully took up. And I've been working in that capacity ever since, which meant that a month after I started my job, part of which was coordinating the internship program, I didn't have any interns anymore because they all went home, because our internship program at the time was based mostly around international students that were interning with us and then going back to their home country. So they all went home. And then what happened was that we pivoted the program and changed a lot of what we were doing. And now we're hoping to once again host some international interns. So that's going to be something that I am doing for the first time in this capacity. So when I say we, it's WRT, which is Waiheke Resources Trust. We've been serving the Waiheke community for over 25 years. We celebrate and protect the resources we have, and we build capacity and knowledge in the community toward the creation for a resourceful future for all. So these are the 6 main project areas that we work in to support thriving environments and communities. And we do that by engaging, educating, and supporting people in environmental restoration, food resilience, and waste minimization. So actually, I want to point out that this really beautiful Venn diagram is the product of one of our interns, and it's something that we've been using in a lot of places. You can also see it on our website. So the start of our journey with interns predates me, and the exact details of how we got our first intern are a bit of a mystery, but WRT acquired our first intern, Bob, in 2015. Bob was an environmental science student from the Netherlands, from Haas University. And we've had a few other interns over the next 2 years, and then our internship program really took off in 2017. So to date, we have hosted 74 interns. And over the years, a few of the projects that our interns have done include creating social media series on water saving tips, creating a Plastic-Free July pledge certificate and a generator for that. So people could create their own certificate and sign up through our website. They've assessed the quality of our Compost Co's product and provided advice on how to improve the compost that we were creating. They've researched into the production of an engineered composite board made out of waste plastics. They've developed sections of the WRT website. They've set up Google AdWords for us. They've established our community fridge, including getting the funding for that and writing the health and safety plan. They've designed event posters, reports, infographics, social media posts, and 100 of other things. So in the day-to-day running of the centre, interns have also assisted project leads to achieve KPIs and facilitate workshops, service the eco store refill station that we have, as well as bringing in new perspectives and learning about sustainability while they do so. And I just want to acknowledge that the added value that all of our interns bring to WRT is incredible, both with the enthusiasm and the skills that they come with. So we really appreciate them here at the center. So the types of internships that we have kind of make their way into 3 different broad categories. We've got international interns. They come from overseas, usually as part of the university study program, and that's to live on Waiheke for a few months, immerse themselves in the Kiwi culture, travel during their downtime, and then complete an internship with us for some university credit. It's usually a project component involved as well in that. Remote interns are something that we pivoted to during COVID. So they could theoretically be either domestic or international students, but at WRT, I decided that dealing with the limitations of doing a remote internship with also a huge time zone difference, because usually the international interns that have been interested in doing a remote internship come from places like France or the Netherlands, and that 10 to 12 hour time difference isn't really conducive to very streamlined communications. So what we do is try to retain some of that kanohi ki te kanohi using Google Meets, as well as more immediate forms of communication like WhatsApp, rather than just email. And that's to make our interns feel more connected to us and to the organization, even though they're not in the office with us. So to date, our remote interns have also been mostly university students or recent graduates, and they've done their mahi from all over Aotearoa. The ones that live in mainland Auckland have visited the office a couple of times, and we've really loved sharing the space and introducing them to the office when they could make it. So that brings us to the 3rd category, which is our local interns. So these are also fairly new to WRT. We've only had them over the last couple of years, and it's only been in the periods between lockdowns that we've managed to do that. So they live on island, which means that they are able to grace our office with their presence, as well as get hands-on experience during our projects that work in the field. And that's during times that international travel has been restricted, which means that our project leads have really appreciated being able to have extra helping hands there. And then another bonus of local interns is that they're already somewhat familiar with the Waiheke context, so we can connect them further to the networks of sustainability organizations that we have access to in their home space, but then also show them things like EHA and how there's a wider community out there. And it's a point of pride for us that we've been able to offer a few of our local interns some part-time employment in our wetland team after their internships finished. So with international, remote or local, all of our interns gain insight into what's involved in being part of a not-for-profit in the environmental sector, and also to some extent gaining experience in an office environment, which is also something that university students and recent graduates appreciate, because it might be the first time that they've worked in that sort of environment. So the types of projects, as I mentioned, are many, but they kind of break down into things like GIS design, holistic, which is a general internship that's more hands-on, research, especially if they've got a university component where they need to create a research paper, and then things like web development, which are more specialized skills. Cool, so now I will share with you an example of a relationship we've built over time. So this is Haas University. You might remember Bob from 2015. He was our first intern, but over the years, we've had quite a few interns from Haas University because their applied science program places a lot of value in practical experience. And so what happened was that over time, interns that went over to Waiheke Island would come back to the Netherlands and then tell their friends about it and potentially do a blog post about it or talk to their peers. And so we would get other interns who came having heard about WRT from word to mouth, as well, word of mouth, not word to mouth. And then also, because of the kind of level of support that the university students gained from their lecturers and then from us as a host organization to kind of make sure that their reports were progressing and that they were fulfilling the university credits, we've gained a good reputation over there, which has meant that even 2 years later, I'm still getting people getting in touch with me going, hey, can we intern at WRT? And I'm like, I'm really sorry, we can't, because you can't travel to WRT yet, but get in touch later. So because of the way that we've had our internship program rolling over, and having had quite a few interns over the years, it's meant that the reputation that we've had has kind of withstood the test of time and the pandemic. And now I'll introduce you to Project Whanganui, which is one of our earliest projects. So this is just an example of how different interns can contribute to a specific project over time. So Bob in 2015 did the initial report about water pollution in Little Oneroa's stream and lagoon. And as a result of that, the project kind of was able to gain funding with the local board. And then in 2017, one of our interns, Ruben, did the first GIS catchment mapping for engagement, which allowed us to display how we were engaging with the community in a really vivid visual way. And that was put into our annual reports and displayed to our funders, as well as kind of giving our project leads a chance to see how they were impacting the community as well. And then in 2018, we had an intern, Stephanie, who was doing research on the effect of microorganisms and was trying to figure out how to reduce the E. coli contamination in Little Oneroa streams. So that was another research project. And then we also had each year people doing GIS mapping and the annual reports. And one of our interns also organized a community planting day event, and that was to do some riparian planting and improve awareness about the Little Oneroa stream itself. So I've talked to you about what interns do and how they can impact us, but where do they come from? And the answer is a couple of places. So for our international interns, we've worked with New Zealand Internships, and there's also other organizations such as International Students Abroad and Go Intern and a couple of other organizations. So they all take the brunt of the administration work for you, and they liaise with the students to get all the visas and things like that sorted. And so they have different processes in which they organize intern portfolios, and then you can peruse them or request interviews and things like that. And New Zealand Internships, since COVID, has also pivoted themselves to offering domestic interns as well. So that's another way that you can get domestic interns. And then there's also online volunteer opportunity databases. So Volunteer X is because there's Volunteer Auckland, Volunteer Waikato, which are all subsidiaries of Volunteering New Zealand. And so these all have kind of their own database of volunteers that you can access, or vice versa. They might have a place that you can advertise your role, and then potential volunteers can get in touch with you based on the profile that you've provided. And that holds for not just internships, but also more casual volunteering. And then specifically for internships, what I found really useful is New Zealand Uni Talent. And they used to be called New Zealand Career Hub. And so they're a database where you can create an internship job description and profile, and then send it out to all of the employment career websites for the different universities in Aotearoa. And so then, as I said, with House University, a great part of having an internship program that's kind of developed over time is that you also get word of mouth from past interns and references like that. And then if you've got website applications, then you might also get direct applications as well. So those are some of the different ways that you can recruit interns. So basically, now I will just give you a little preview of some of the things that you might want to bring out in the breakout rooms. I've got some leading questions. And so you are very, very welcome to ask me anything you would like to know more about, and we can talk more specifically about where you're at in your intern journey. And that's me. Thank you very much. I'll pass on to Georgina.
Brilliant. That's so clever. I really wish that I could say that Pahiatua had beaches and lots of sunshine, and then I would ask interns to come and work with me here. But I think you've got some extraordinary capital there that I can't offer. So thank you so much for that.
Cheers,
hopefully that's really inspiring for all of those people who have a wonderful place that they live in. So I will pass over now to Lynn and Louise, who are doing a double act from Whanganui.
Thank you. Graham's doing our technical, so I'm hoping you can one more back, Graham. It's a lovely actually, Levine, that we followed you, because one of our project people, Julie Croker, came from Waiheke.
That's right. We miss her.
Well, she's
I don't know that you can have her back.
No, she's moved on from us as well. So my name's Louise Oscom. I'm actually the chair, auntie, go-to girl in the team of the Whanganui Kai Trust and Whanganui Kai Hub. And I'm here because we've been lucky enough to have Sustainable Whanganui umbrella us and enable us to even exist. And we've done a lot in the last 18 months. And I suppose I'm here today to kind of give you the very fast version of where we've been. And I have to say, it's been a fascinating and fun ride that we've been on. And a lot of us started actually 2018, 2019, and we did some human-centered design work and looked at how might we get seasonal food to those most in need. And our end result was a Manaki bus, which had a hub and then had a van that went around our community, which is geographically quite widely spread and quite high disadvantage stats in certainly our peripheral population. So that was the idea, but unfortunately time and place is everything. And it didn't quite fly then, but it didn't die. We formed a group of like minds back in 2019, 2020, post the first COVID lockdown. And the reality was there were a lot of people that weren't getting kai, but we knew there was excess in our community. And there was a lot of hui, and not much dewy. So a group of us formed off. It's a beautiful thing. It's great things to talk about these things. Lovely space, actually. But, so a group of us formed off. Actually, I've got holding up our, actually this regenerative local kai systems is one of the pieces of work that came out of our lots of hui. And I'm happy to share the link to that because it's a really fantastic piece of work. But we felt we needed to do better. And so we formed these Jules there. And she, this is the group that formed to get on and get a kai hub up and running. And Joe comes from Scotland, Jules from Waiheke, Beth from America, and I'm a local Whanganui girl with a bit of long time in healthcare. So I was seeing a lot, a need to get going, and these beautiful people were all ready to jump on the wagon and get going. So we formed the group, and the first thing we did was actually a lean startup process, which was really understanding what was the customer and what was the need in our community. And we had we did a pop-up market and did some great stuff, and we were having amazing conversations with our community that were saying, get going, you've got to do this. And we managed to actually get some funding from our council to support the group. And the group put together this feasibility study. So we were paying Jules and Joe, which I think is really important with the project, that you actually do fund people. And Beth and I auntieing along the sides. But this is a fantastic document that we managed to, we brought together. And Joe probably was our wordsmith in the mix, but so many people were engaged and involved in the process. And Sustainable Whanganui, I have to say, had faith that we would get there and get something across the line. Well, and the reality was we actually...
We're excited that they came along, really.
So we ended at the end of the project, we had a feasibility feast, and there's a photo of us in, it's actually the Harrison Street Church Hall, and a fantastic eclectic selection of interested people that wanted to see what we've done and to be part of what was happening. We were able to, with this project document, to actually source funds. We've got 200,000 from our council, from Countdown, from MFE. We've just been successful that that's embargoed, so I will have to deny that if you say that you heard that. Sorry, I didn't say that. We've got money from MSD and from a philanthropic organisation as well. So, oh gosh, I apologise I said that. But we've tried to get in we've been in the paper and we've had great support. We were lucky enough to, with some of our funds, purchase an e-van, so that we actually, back in September, we actually started rescuing food from our supermarkets and then distributing it out to organisations that were working with in a food bank or supporting the most disadvantaged families within our community. And that was it was great to get going, but there was, at least left us feeling that there was more to do, a lot more to do. So we've been lucky enough to source a building that's right in the centre of town on the City College campus. And we've got the downstairs and a large sort of campus area and a garage out the back. And that took us a long time to get that building because it's through the Ministry of Ed. We also we signed the lease and we've employed staff, three part-time staff, and it's really interesting to think you know what you're doing and it's so obvious what you're doing, but how do you articulate that to others? And in fact, even harder, how do you articulate that to new people into the mix? So we employed 3 new people into Whanganui, and I don't think we estimated how hard it would be going from a project, the feasibility study, to transition and then the big step into actually operations. So it's been a interesting journey, to say the least, and I don't for one moment suspect we're there yet. As part of being umbrelled by Sustainable Whanganui, we committed that we would form a trust, and so we've been writing a trust deed and doing all those wonderful things, trying to open a bank account and going through the charitable services process, and that's been, anyway, we'll get there. What we do have, though, is a commercial kitchen with lots of fantastic things in it, and we're really keen to run some projects in there around upcycling, the waste that we receive. Whanganui is a little a place where everything grows, and at the moment the big currency is Fijo's. So if anybody needs Fijo's, just on the jam board or somewhere, just let us know and we can probably ship you a couple of pallets. That's a challenge. It's a lovely challenge that we have around what do we do with the excess in our community when people are going hungry, and what do we do with excess in our community so that we have we're teaching people the skills of upcycling excess. We also, with our rescuing from the supermarkets, which we're now up to about 11, it's only 11 tonnes, it's babies, we're baby steps compared to some of those bigger players in the market, but we're learning, and we've got a bit of a theory around we have to fail fast, but being on a really exciting journey, really. And so really what's next is we've been lucky enough, and I'd love to have actually shown you the photo of our container, which is just a mural's just been completed on it. It's the prettiest thing, and it's our community fridge, or pātaka kai, where we'll be taking the excess food that we've rescued and sharing within the individuals within our community, not necessarily those most in need, but people that get that as a community, we have to get a lot stronger about reducing the food waste in our community. So we're going to go from a 2 to 3 collections a week. We've had a few fantastic community sessions or moments and events, and we probably need to get a bit smarter about planning and processing and sorting out resource. We have now, with the funds that you haven't heard about, we are going to have to look at maybe what are the best things we need next, given it's a significant chunk of funds. And look, as you guys all know, there's so much to do, but we're having a lot of fun. We're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're having some grateful moments knowing that we're partnering with some fantastic organisations, not least of all Sustainable Whanganui. We actually came out of the Healthy Families team, Te Ranganui. We've got a group called Kaiora Collective that's in there nurturing us. There's the learning environment that are helping us. We have UCOL, City Colleges there. We have relationships with the City Mission and other organisations that are distributing kai in our community. And so in our breakout session, I'm happy to have people give me all their knowledge, all of it, so we can use it in our next part of our journey and or ask any questions, because I've talked terribly fast and Lynn's got some really important things to tell us now about. I'm going to pass the mouse across to Graham, and he's going to share the screen around the wonderful work Lynn does with trees and schools, fruit trees and schools.
Yeah, there we go. So I've got a set of PowerPoints. So we're going to try and get this up on.
Right.
So I don't know, what are you seeing? Is anybody seeing? No,
Right.
no,
Sorry, I'm having trouble.
no, a bit there. Well, it basically started in 2009, 2008. There was a scheme running with the health
Yeah, right behind that.
authorities, EHA, which was healthy eating, healthy activity, I think, and it was about to finish. And there was a concern in sustainable Whanganui that there be no fresh food. And
Right.
so they've got some funding from PowerCo and the District Council to
I should say.
buy some or set up. I'm sure one of our nurseries helped set it up, and yeah,
Sorry, Lynn.
and then we right, well, can we keep on going down here so I can at least read my notes? I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's hiding behind the top screen. I can't
Yeah, we
Yep,
can't get it out.
just show.
Yeah.
Show.
So the things we do, we provide trees and vines, three per year, up to that, and also compost and often mulch, and help do the planting, discuss a care plan, and hopefully get a school into one, and provide seeds for a herbal lay, hopefully, and help with, that's a companion planting for your fruit trees, help with pruning approximately every 2 years, and work to see how the trees are going, and give advice. And in 2012, we made sure the local kura, that there's 4 of them, and also all early childhood centres were included. There we go. So we're going to so yeah, so there we've got. Now where do I click now? Just click on it. Okay, so there's one of the kindergartens in the kura. We're not, and one of the things we've discovered is we need to encourage schools to even let their little ones join in, and because they're more likely to care for what they help to grow. And I've got a picture on the side there. I don't know how we ended up with that, but anyway, that is Whanganui students. They were worried about me cutting their trees, so I decided they needed to learn about pruning, and they got it, and they were really good. And we've done some watering. Obviously, you need to look after your trees for the first 2 or 3 years, and that's hard sometimes to get it across. But if it hasn't rained for a fortnight, you need to be out there with a bucket of water. Companion planting, that's a bit about that. And it pays to remember that having companion planting will help develop healthy fruit trees, because you're planting the things they like growing with, but also it helps reduce that danger from that damaging lawnmower. And over the years, we can say that interest has fluctuated. Success depends on the support of staff and the interest from students. Both got to work together. And one of our exciting things was when Westmere School, which was one of the original schools, which is out in the country, when they came back to us after 9 years. We hadn't heard from them for a whole 9 years, and all of a sudden they were there with a teacher and a really good, excited team of kids, which was really amazing. We try and run pruning workshops or something once a year, and we try to get the schools involved in actually pruning their own trees, but often that's a really hard thing for them to do. And Peter's he's committed to pruning the kindergarten fruit trees for all the kindergartens in Whanganui at least every 2 years. Which is a commitment. And then in 2019, we also got involved with Mark Christensen and his heritage fruit trees. He's got set up a trust. He not only does fruit trees, he also does tomatoes and beans. And this is up here as a group. I don't know whether you can see my mouse or not, but there's a queue of people waiting to receive their fruit trees. And they've got a bucket because we're going to give them some compost, and we're going to give them a fruit tree as well. I think there's one here in the bucket. And I also like to talk to everybody about their fruit trees and how they should be planting it, like this diagram shows. So that's why there's a wait. But anyway, they were happy to wait. That's really good. And we encourage people to make their area inviting. Tawhero School have put in a seat, and Rutherford Junior High have put in coloured stones all around the area, and they're starting to set up a herbal lay in this area here, which is great to see. And then one of the things we have is problems with schools actually harvesting their fruit and realizing that they could do something with the windfalls. They could organize some cooking. Some of them are good and some of them just don't seem to get it, but we'll keep on trying. So we could do with some more help there. Yeah, and we also it would also be nice if something damaging happened to their fruit trees, if they rang us or emailed us or contacted us somehow, so we go and help them straight away instead of waiting for us to until came around and said, oh, do you want some more, do you want another tree, or do you want, can we prune them? Yeah. And we also need more active younger people to keep the project going. Right, so hopefully that's gives you an outline of what the kind of thing we're doing and trying to keep doing. And
that's thank you so much for that. There's so much passion and experience there that we can hear from both of you. So thank you so much, really inspiring. So I think without further ado, we will jump into some breakout rooms. So I will open those in a second, and you'll see 2 rooms and you get the choice to join either one of those. So I'll open those now, and you should see at the bottom of your screen an invitation to make a choice. If you would like to stay with Daniel and hear more about that tech, please just stay in this room and don't press the join button.
yeah,
I will also stop the recording. Actually, I'll just pause the recording while we do that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Georgina. So yeah, if you want to hear about tech, you're in the right place. So just to ease us up and get us into the presentation a little bit, I would like for you, and what we'll probably do is do a bit of expecting that you can multitask a little bit. Yeah, and that is I've got a little survey that you can take, that survey that I mentioned before. And I'll carry on talking while you're doing that survey, and then maybe once you've got your results, if you want to, you can just pop it into chat, just to share what you are in terms of your personality. Have we got an issue with tech for Louise and Lynn? Are they back with us now?
Are you all right there, Graham?
No, we haven't got the.
Are we meant to be in our own breakout room, or we are with Levine?
No, you do have one, so I will just I will assign you.
Please send us there, please.
Sorry.
If
you keep talking, Daniel, and I'll sort it out.
Great. So everyone can see the screen? Great, cool. So I will just put into chat too this quiz. Feel free to take part in it, and and just as I'm talking, and feel free to also pop into the chat your name and your tech personality. It's a bit of a tongue and cheek approach, so you don't need to, but and many of you will probably know which you'd most identify with as well. But it's still a little bit of fun. When I did it, I was the techno tween. You know, and that's where I'm sort of talking in terms of this presentation. It's not about talking about things from a crazy tech perspective, but it's just an everyday person who's been involved in a lot of tech projects and being able to talk to those and share some of the learnings and how they could apply to your EnviroHub as well. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, touch on the top 5 areas for each of these 3 questions and just share some of those insights with you. And then we'll do that pick a path. So you determine which conversations that we have around the different types of tech. And I can share with you some of the screenshots, and also you can feel free to ask any questions as we go along too. Probably easiest if you've got any questions, just unmute and ask, because I'm only seeing a few of you on screen and I can't see visual signs. So just feel free to do that throughout if you so choose. So asking the right questions, it's so very important to ask the right questions. So I've touched just before on the first one. So what benefits does it give your hub? You need to be asking that question first and foremost. Next up is how much time will setting it up and maintaining it actually cost you as an organisation? So what that's all about is making sure that you know the full impact of the decision of moving to a new platform. Often it sounds absolutely amazing, and you enter into this this agreement with a provider, and you don't actually know what it's going to take to keep it going. I remember back at a previous organisation where we had an email platform that was meant to be sort of built into the main database platform that we were going with, and it was like expected that you would keep going with that one, but it wasn't very user friendly, and it was really hard for us to use, and we had to keep paying more and more consultants for how to use this platform. So I think just be really conscious around what it's going to cost you and what it's going to take to set it up in the first place. Next up, what do others that use it have to say about it? So this is where testimonials can be really helpful. It's about finding out others who are actually using it day in, day out, and who have probably used it for a while now as well. So I'd really encourage you, if you are moving to something new, to sort of reach out and find others who are already using it. And I guess as part of the EnviroHubs Aotearoa, we've got a great network within this group as well that we could reach out to and ask, have you ever used this platform or that platform before? And also others in your professional networks as well might be able to answer that question for you as well. So really do listen to those that you trust and who you know would be speaking truth into different platforms that they use. Next up is something that we really increasingly need to focus on nowadays is privacy, it's security, and also the support that you'll receive as well. So something that you can never be too careful of. I'm quite surprised at the number of systems that have been hacked over recent years, and some of them really well-known platforms that you would think would be so robust and so strong that would be able to prevent hacking and the like. So I think do be really conscious that whatever tech you're putting in place, asking those right questions as to, well, what sort of level of security and privacy is built into this. And I guess you can never have something that's foolproof, but making sure that it's doing at least the bare minimum is really important. And the other thing to think about is that support. So what level of support you're actually getting if you are coming into trouble. And often the way that different platforms are now operating is to have that primarily online, but ideally you'd like to have at least a step above that, and that you would also have online live chat available to you with a live person who is actually able to help solve your problems, even if it isn't necessarily over the phone, would be the other thing. And finally, in this, it's all about making sure that you can, if you are putting in a new piece of software or new technology, that it's bound to go worse than you actually expect in terms of the time it takes and the cost that it might take to put it in as well. So I think we're all sort of over optimistic when it comes to technology, and it's therefore really, really helpful. And speaking from my own experience, to build in a bit of a budget in terms of any cost overruns, and also allowing for any of the time delays that it will take as well. So you know, I think too, with most not-for-profits, we are doing a lot of these sorts of projects on a bare budget. So you're actually depending on your staff to help with the testing and the implementation. So it's also about balancing that workload up for them as well, and being really conscious of that. So I'll just pause there. Did anyone take part in the survey and post their results?
I stopped at the point they asked me to enter my details because I was like, oh, I don't know if
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that. You do actually have to put your email in, and I've done it before, and they won't spam you, and you can instantly unsubscribe as well. But yeah, you do have to enter in your email as well. That's cool. I'm sure most of you would have probably identified with one of those three just by hearing the narrative that I said earlier on. So next up is some top tips to ponder if you're thinking about some technology projects. Yeah, what I said before was working out that needs list. So what are those key things that you're trying to see put in place? And I think I went into a relatively good amount of detail before, so I'm not going to keep talking to that point. Next up is to really try and avoid overcomplicating the decision-making process. What I've found is that I love the detail, and I can sometimes, you know, look at different options and then delve into the detail, and you kind of feel like you're drowning after a while, because you've looked at this option or that option, and then suddenly you've got 20 different options that you're looking at, and you really drown yourself in that detail. So I think just be really, really clear up front of what are those key things that you're looking for, and really try not to overcomplicate the decision-making process. And also really, it's about good, strong leadership from yourself too, as to not trying to overcomplicate that process for your staff as well, and making it really clear what are your key parameters that they should be working to as well. Next up is, I would really highly encourage that your best friend becomes the free demo that you often get from different platforms nowadays. So what I would highly recommend is trying usually they offer a 30-day trial, which you can try and break their system, you can test out all their functionality, you can get your team really on board and giving it a good go. And from that, you can find out so much more than just asking them to give you a demo or looking at some screenshots. So I really would encourage you to only in extreme circumstances, not go with trying a demo first. And really, if they say it's only a 7-day demo that you can try, ask for more. You can always, that they really want to sell you their platform. So do try and get at least a 30-day trial to really try and use their system and break it, and see that it is fit for your organization's purpose as well. Next up is, I think the growth in off-the-shelf platforms is just absolutely amazing. And by that, I mean these best in practice solutions that are there for you, that isn't about you saying what you want and a developer going away and developing up a platform for you, but they're really about off-the-shelf solutions that have all the amazing functions that you actually want, are usually so much better than anything else nowadays. And what's even better about them is that they avoid you having to be locked in for years on year to a particular platform, because at the end of the day, a couple of years time, you might find that your needs as an organisation change, or there's a platform out there that's even better for what your new needs are as well. So I would really encourage, and this is the approach that we've taken at the Beautification Trust, is to really look at some of those off-the-shelf platforms that are based on a subscription model where you're paying each month, or you're paying upfront for a full year to get an extra discount, and really make the best of those types of offers, because they do mean that if you're not liking what you're getting anymore, you can just walk away and go to another platform as well. And lastly, I would highly encourage anyone who is pondering a new platform, if you've got salespeople hounding you, rushing you, pressuring you, then do your best to deflect it. You need to make the decision in the time frame that you're working to, not in their time frame, to get the next sale. So I would really encourage you just to take the time to consider and make the right decision for your organization. I just share with you an example. When we were looking at what type of CRM systems, about what type of database we were going to use, we signed up to a couple of different trials, and there was one organization, Salesforce, that was constantly doing what they do, which was doing sales calls to try and convert us into being a new customer for them. And yet at the end of the day, their product was not the best one for what our particular needs were. But you know, if we had been weak in that time, we could have just gone with, we'll just go with them, because they seem to be really onto it with asking us and that whole sales process. But you really do need to deflect any of that pressure that you might be getting from sales reps as well. So next up, getting buy-in from your team. So like I said before, it's really important to get that champion within your organization who loves this sort of stuff, who loves new systems, who understands the operational and the strategic. Really encourage you to look for that type of person to be your sidekick, who can see these particular technology projects into the organization. Next up is really about testing it, making sure that it's relevant to your organization before you roll it out. So for example, when we moved to a database, we really wanted to make sure that as soon as the wider team saw it, they would love it, and they would go, yep, that's exactly what we need. I can see the benefits of it. So we made sure that we adapted it and made it really suitable for the team before we demoed it and showed it to them, so that they could see that its potential right from that very first moment that they saw it. And that meant that their buy-in through that whole process was so much stronger. Next up is to really focus on that training. But you know, you can, I think for all of us, if you got an invite for a full day or 2 days worth of training, we'd all be going, ugh. Not another training that's full day, or where am I going to fit in the time to do the rest of my work? So what we've found that it really works for getting that buy-in from staff is to do lots of nice short, sharp training sessions, and not necessarily have the same trainer do all the training as well. So one project that we did this on was when we moved to Microsoft Teams. We really tried to encourage as many of the staff as possible to train up others around some new functionality that they saw when and really let them own it and go, hey, look, I found this function. And it was all part of short, sharp 5-minute training sessions that we tacked onto our team HUIs each week. So you can be really adaptable to what works for your organization and keep it short and sharp. Next up, number 4 is, once you've got your new technology in, is to keep talking about it, talking about those challenges and those training needs that you might have. I think often it's when a big new technology project comes in, once it's all live, it's just like, oh, yeah, I'm done. I need a break, but it doesn't end there. It's very much around keeping an eye on what those continued challenges are and where those training needs are, because often it just comes down to the training or the setup process, where a few extra little changes could mean the difference between an average project and an exceptional project where you're getting absolutely everything that you need. So do keep an eye on those training needs and those challenges that you might be able to address after launch. And finally, for getting buy-in from the team, I would highly recommend that you get that balance right when you're doing your assessments and your decision-making process on a new platform, of making sure that it's got that balance between that user-friendliness and the function, so the functionality right. So often there's highly functional platforms out there that you're like, yes, they do everything right, but if the staff can't understand it and use it well, then it's set up for failure. And likewise, if you've got a highly user-friendly system, but it doesn't actually do everything you need, then likewise, you're setting yourselves up for failure. So it's about getting that mix right between the two, because often they're not they don't always come together. So yeah, those would be the top tips from me, from the team, and how we get buy-in. And all of these just aren't theory, but they're just coming from life experience, because I was thinking about it the other day. Every new NGO I've worked with, I've stepped into a need for getting new IT systems in place, and it just seems to be prevalent more and more that wherever you go, there's going to be need for continual looking at technology and improvement there. So yeah, what I'd like to do now is just to, if people are up for it, just to pick a path now and spend a bit of time looking at some specific technologies and sharing some experiences and any questions that you might have about different types of platforms. So what I'm going to do is, so here's 6 different options, and depending on how we're going with time, we'll probably talk to 1 or 2 or maybe 3 if we've got time of them, but I'm going to let you guide the conversation as to which ones we talk about. And to do that, what I'm going to do is ask you to jump onto this site. So grab your phone or open a new window on your laptop and go to www.mentee.com, and then you'll be asked for a code. And in that code, if you could shove in that number there, 85474858. And could I have a show of hands? Are you seeing it okay? It's saying you're waiting for a presenter to show something. Cool.
It says voting is closed, Daniel.
Okay. Is it showing as open now?
Yes.
Cool. Great. Well, this is one of the options that I was going to show as well if you wanted to see it, but basically just to make sure everyone can understand it. So you should see on your phone some questions there. Are you in, and this is just a test one, how are you doing today? Are you feeling great? Are you feeling okay? Or are you feeling so-so? So just shove in your answer there. And what you'll see is the live data coming through on the screen here. We've got 8 people who have voted already, and we've got, wow, look at that, 50-50 split between great and those who are so-so. So yep, great, thank you very much. Now we'll just jump over to the next slide, which is basically you're guiding me now as to the pick a path of what topic we're going to talk about in terms of the platform. So what you'll have is your choice around which one you select first, second, third, fourth, sixth. So as a collective group, whatever the results are is what I'll talk about next. So if you could have a bit of a look as to those options there and place your votes.
It's like instant gratification, isn't it, Daniel?
It is, yeah, it's working to that gratification of you seeing it right there and then. you're not kind of counting 1, 2, 3, yeah, all of that sort of stuff too. So thank you very much. You're now going to guide me as to what I'm going to talk about, and we'll let the clock be the determiner as to how many we talk about too. So we've got project management is coming out top, then flexible data management, and then board engagement and management, and then interactive surveys. So I would say probably we'll get it through at least 2, but we'll just see how we go with the time, eh? So thank you to everyone who took part in that. So what I will do now is just jump back to the slides, and we'll just go from here. So we had project management first. Cool, so you can see that again. So Asana is just one of many platforms that are out there and are now available for the people to use as a project management piece of software. So one of the benefits of having a really good, strong project management software is that it means that you can have a really joined up approach as to how you're managing key projects. So how we operate this at the Beautification Trust is we've got a number of projects, and often a lot of them are quite rinse and repeat. And what I mean by that is they come up in a cyclical way. So we have our Eye on Nature program, we've got wearable arts, types of programs that do come up regularly. So what's great about Asana and other platforms like it is that it means that you can basically set up a project plan. You can join everyone up as collaborators and manage the project together in one space. And then at the end of that period, you can actually copy over the project again and reset it for the next year. And then just do any other adjustments in terms of extra actions or activities that need to be put in, assigning different tasks to different people, and essentially have it all there in one place where you can manage those projects. So in terms of some reflections around the likes of Asana, are that it's really great in that, first of all, it's built for ease of use and for navigation, so you can easily navigate around it and see all the things that you'd expect to see in terms of who's assigned what, when's it due, having subtasks built into it, having milestones, all that sort of stuff that you'd expect. And then you can change the views too to be something like, if you want it to look like a Trello board, you can. If you want it to look like a calendar view, you can. So I know for us and our staff, people prefer different views and different ways of looking at things. So it's really great to do that. It's also got some really good integrations with other platforms as well, such as Teams and Gmail and Forms as well. I think that the biggest success is its collaboration opportunities, just to have everyone working on the same document, to have all the updates there. You can also link it to different attached documents and have everything all in that one place. And also what's great about it is that TechSoup, so I don't know if many of your organisations have accounts with TechSoup, but it's the not-for-profit arm. And what's great about that is that the not-for-profit arm where lots of organisations that have tech solutions get TechSoup to manage the not-for-profit accounts. So you can actually secure 50% off their charges for having a subscription to Asana as well. So they do have a really good not-for-profit rate. And there's a couple of screenshots there that just sort of give you a bit of a sense as to how it works. And what I'll do now is just jump over and give you one view in terms of our own Asana. So this is just one board that we've got within Asana. So this is our annual operating plan. So you can see that each of the tasks are in here. We've got different assignees assigned to it, different due dates, the progress of how we're going. Are we on track with achieving that? Also the percentage that's been completed. So we're all working together in this one document and having a really good sense as to where we're at. And likewise, if there's another project that we want to add to the mix, we can easily just create a new project that we then have all the details in. So here, for example, is the wearable arts. So this is again like what I was saying before around a rinse and repeat approach, where we would, after we finish this wearable arts, we'd recreate a new project and just adjust all the timings for next year as well. So maybe if I just pause there, and has anyone got any questions specifically around Asana? Susie.
Yay, this is awesome. Two questions. One, can you have people from externally from your organization on it? And two, does it link to your Outlook calendar?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
So it's what you'll probably find though is it depends what the external person wants in terms of an account. So it's like most platforms now, you get a free version, which is the real basic functionality, and then you get your paid versions, which gives you more functionality too. So just one of the considerations that you will have to have around that is, are the external people having their own free version, or are they having a paid version?
Thanks.
Cool. Ali.
Is there a limitation? I know with some of similar programs I've used in the past, there's a limitation on the number of people that can use it within your organization before you have to upgrade. Is there anything like that in terms of limitations?
Yeah, it does the number of seats based on groups of 10. So for example, for us at the Beautification Trust, we don't have all our staff using it, but we've got our 10 key people who we do have using Asana, so we're able to keep within that 10 seats limit. It's not great in terms of if you were at 11 or 12 users who use it, but that said, it works well for probably anywhere up to the 10 users, or if you were well above 10.
So are you guys using the basic version, or you said something about being able to go through TechSoup or getting those discounts? I guess because we're still quite a small organization, so this actually might work quite well as we grow. But I guess I'm looking at sort of like the limitations in terms of whether we have to pay up right front or whether we can kind of give it a go and see how it goes. So we do have the paid version, but like most things, we always like to test it out. So we did a non-paid version, and what usually happens in the non-paid versions is they give you the 30-day trial of the paid version anyway, so you get to try it that way, is how we approach that one. Cool. Well, that's Asana. So I think next up on our voting, let's double check. It was flexible data management that you guys wanted to see, which this was one where, as an organisation, we were looking at a couple of different options around how we could manage our data. So this is quite a hard one in the sense of there's so many options out there, and you could spend millions of dollars on a CRM system, or you could just keep plodding on with a spreadsheet. And to start off with, we were in the lower end. We were looking at just having a whole bunch of spreadsheets that were all around the organisation. They weren't maintained terribly well, and we decided actually let's step this up a bit. From my own experience, I'd used Microsoft Dynamics a bit and hated it, and had also had experience with Salesforce and just knowing how overcomplicated that was, and in particular for our team, we thought something that would be really user-friendly and self-service would be key for us. So that's how we ended up falling across a platform called Airtable, and have a few insights for you around that. So let's jump over into Airtable. So Airtable is an absolutely amazing platform in the sense of, if you want to be able to adapt a system to really meet your needs, it's absolutely amazing. And what we found with this platform is that it's probably best described as a as a spreadsheet, but a super user spreadsheet that you can adapt in any way that you want. And it's also a spreadsheet that you can have linked between different tables within it as well. So let me jump over here just to do first a few reflections on it. Yeah, so all firing spreadsheet. It's one where you can add whatever fields you wish, and to be able to sort them in a way that you don't need, a degree to use Excel in either. So it's really, really straightforward. It's user friendly. It's got loads of templates that are all built in as well. So it's got an app store where all these developers have developed up these updates for it. So, like for example, a batch loading, a duplication removal process. All of these sorts of systems, people have built into it, and it just works amazingly. And it's also got all the other built-in apps that you'd expect to see, with integrations with the likes of Outlook, with all those platforms that you're seeing on the screen there as well. So it's in terms of as a trust, we again trialed this out with a small group of us, and then we rolled it out to the wider team. And what we found was that staff absolutely love it. We've got one of our staff who is now planning her wedding, and she just loves it so much. She's on a personal level, she's using it for her wedding planning, and being able to manage the RSVPs, being able to manage working out what venue they want to use as well. But it's absolutely amazing. So I'll jump over into giving you a live view of it, and you'll get a bit of a sense. So you can see it kind of looks a lot like a spreadsheet, right? But what you will notice is that all these fields we've actually been able to adapt and put in ourselves. So we want to be able to have quite specific fields. We have Boomer members who are part of our Boomer shed who come in, and they've got particular skills. So we're able to record all of those in here, whether it's okay to communicate with them, all these different classifications. So for example, if we wanted to add in a new field, we could add in likes chocolate, and we'll be able to add that field within moments. And that's something that is quite uncommon compared to other databases. And then, you might be a bit overseeing a spreadsheet sort of version. So what's great about this as well is that there's a whole range of different views. So instead of necessarily seeing it as a spreadsheet, there's these views. So you can actually see it as a full record and see all the details around them. The emergency contact details. Are they interested in volunteering? It's all here. And what's great about this platform as well is that it's got interlinks between different sections. So for example, if Thomas here was wanting to be a part of one of our different events, then we could actually add that in as a event that Thomas was attending. So it's really, really great in terms of being able to track that sort of detail as well. So it's quite advanced like that. So we have all our activities and projects listed in this field, all our communications. We even track our media coverage through this platform as well. So these are all the pieces of media coverage that we've been able to have. We track our key stakeholders through this as well. So understanding each of our key stakeholders and whether we should be sending them the annual report or inviting them to our end of year function, that type of thing. We even track now our funding applications through this as well, because what's really, really great is just that interconnection with, we can then link this in with all the other fields within the spreadsheet as well. Something else just to show is the filter function. So for example, this is one filter that we just made the other day when we were demoing something else. So we wanted to show that any of the volunteers who have a Boomer flag next to them, if they've got an interest in woodwork and they've paid their subs within the last year, we wanted to view all of those. And it was basically just within a couple of clicks, we were able to bring up that view, and then we can export that out or do whatever we so wish with that particular view. So it is really, think of it as a super advanced spreadsheet that manages not only our volunteers, but many of our programs and the results of our programs as well. So yeah, any questions on that one?
What is the name of that sort of software that you're using there?
So it's called Airtable.
I can find it somewhere online.
Yeah. So again, it's like most platforms now, they give you a free version and you can try that out. And then as you kind of work out, actually, I want this function and this function, you often end up in a paid subscription model. But that said, they also offer 50% off their subscriptions, and you pay per seat. So this one, not like Asana where it's blocks of users, you're actually paying for the number of users specifically that you have within your organization.
Thank you.
Cool.
There was a question in the chat from Sandra about whether the database has any integration with your project management tool.
It is meant to, but we haven't tried it out yet. Yeah, I think there's so many different options for integrations. We're just slowly, gradually looking at those, because ultimately we've put this platform in just internally. We haven't got a tech expert in. It was one of those things where we just got frustrated with our spreadsheets that we were using, and across the course of a couple of days, a couple of us put this together, and then we've gradually started to roll it out to the team. Cool. Well, that brings me to an end of that one. Georgina, do you want to give me a steer as to do I go into the next one, or do we call it quits?
Yeah, look, I think this is pretty valuable stuff. And so I think while we've got some people listening, let's just make the offer that if you'd like to stay and hear Daniel's next one, then please do so. Otherwise, if you do need to go, we understand that it is close to time. But otherwise, I think it's great if you want to talk us through another one, Daniel.
Cool. And in terms of what that one is, for I know a few of you joined a little bit later on, is we were doing a Mentee Meetup. So this is an online tool to work out what people want to talk about. And we had some votes put in, and the next one is around how to better engage with your boards. So it's a piece of software that's available for you for engaging with your board. That I was just going to, I can keep it to 5 minutes to demo. So farewell if you don't want to be a part of that, but feel free to stick around if you do. So let's jump over into that. This is Board Pro. So what Board Pro is, it's a platform that's available purely for engaging better with your trustees. Now, it is, I would say it's probably a little bit more getting up there in terms of the subscription costs, but I think the value of it is more so, like, for example, for me, I found that it's probably saved me probably 3 or 4 hours each and every month with board papers, board engagement, and the real value has come through with that, and that it's really, really well set up in terms of best practices for how to engage better with your board. So some of the functions that it has is it allows you to better schedule your meetings with the board. It pings out alerts to them. It has built into it some agenda builders, so it can build based on your previous agenda, or it can do a best practice agenda. It consolidates all your board papers together in a board pack, which the trustees can then go in and access online in the portal. It allows you to better track your minutes and record those. All the actions are recorded. It records the decisions, and it's also a place for us where we put in all of our governance documents. So our trust deed, our governance level policies all sit in here, and also the contact details of trustees.
It was also an amazing place to manage your interest register as well. So it does really hold everything together in one place. As I said before, it saves heaps of time. It avoids sending out so many emails because the system automatically does the alerts to say your board pack's now available. It's really good at all of these amazing things. So what I'll do is I'll just jump over and show you our own board details in there, and you can ask any questions. So this is Board Pro. So this is our board meeting that's coming up next Thursday, or this Thursday actually. So we've got all of our people in here. We've got our board pack, the agenda, it holds it all together. So the board members can also make notes within their own board pack as to things that they want to ask at the board meeting, and it just holds it all here together in an amazing way. What it also captures is your interests, so they're all there as well. And in terms of, I'll just show you actually what it looks like in terms of so here's the June meeting. So we haven't got even around to that yet, but if I jump into here, it says, you know, there's a build an agenda. So I'm going to just go clone another agenda. So I'm going to clone the one that we've got for the May board meeting, build the agenda, and it will basically build it all up together and give all the details here. So this is based on the last month's. So, you know, we'd go through the interest register. So it just automatically pulls all of that through. It's a place where we confirm the minutes, the action list. So, for example, we'll get our monthly accounts from our accountants, and we'll just drop them into here, and that will all automatically refresh so that the board members can view a PDF when this is submitted to them. My CEO report, the services report, and all the different strategic and in-depth discussions we will have. So it just brings everything together in one place. And then at the end, I publish the agenda and it pings a message out to all the trustees as well. So it really does mean that you're avoiding all the emails, you're avoiding trying to do lots of formatting and getting everything into one document or many documents and zipping files and all the rest as well. And it means from a trustee perspective, they have a much better engagement with you as well. We moved over to this probably about a year ago, and the trustees absolutely love it. And like probably most of your boards, it's very diverse in terms of your trustees, those who hate technology and those who love it, the younger generations and the older, all working together and absolutely loving it. So any questions on that one? And otherwise we'll bring it to an end.
There is one in the chat, and I was going to say perhaps if we could have a look at your document, the document portion of it just quickly. I use Board Pro quite a bit as well, but the question is around, do you have a duplicate place for policies so that your staff can also access them?
Yes, we do. Yep. So what we've got is we actually duplicate them across 3 places, which probably isn't ideal, but it's just one of the factors of having various different platforms. So we've got them on our shared drive. We've also got them in each staff member has a health and safety app where we've also got all of our policies within that app as well. And then we've also got them for the governance policies, we've got them in Board Pro as well. So what we do as a matter of process, we always make sure that if we are updating them in one place, we've got to update them in the other 2 as well.
Yeah, you're preaching to the converted, because I'm a board member of our EHA, and you know, it works very well. I hadn't seen some of the background that you're showing now, but you know, it's yeah, we're doing all our meetings on the basis of these. It works well.
Oh, good.
And sorry, there is a quick question about what editing rights, but from memory, I think you assign those. Is that right? So different people can have different admin rights.
Yeah, there's quite a few options available, but yeah, basically whoever's the administrator controls what the rights are.
Cool. And that's, I think, is that about 1,500 a year?
Yeah, this is certainly in terms of for some of the hubs might be a bit pricey, but it certainly does provide a lot of benefit in terms of the time that's saved, especially if you don't have like I don't have a personal assistant or anything, so I'm doing all of this myself. So it saves me a lot of time, and I think too that the trustees also find that their time is saved a lot as well, with not having to open files from emails and then download them, and trying to sort of take their own notes in whatever format they take, and also avoiding them from printing them as well. Like I think historically at the trust, a lot of the board members just got printed versions, and it was, you know, the whole thing of getting them out, curing them out, all of that sort of stuff, which is just not really the way to do it nowadays.
Okay, great. Shall we check if there are any other questions? Otherwise, we are quite close to time. Any other burning questions for Daniel, or pop them in the chat? We can have a look there.
So ask Daniel, do your board then bring their laptops to the board meetings to access all of this, or are you on Zoom or online board meetings?
We have been on Zoom for a while, but we're back to in-person meetings now. And before we went to Zoom, and now most of them are bringing their laptops. I think there's only one person who doesn't, and they still print off the PDF version, which you can easily download from Board Pro directly.
Okay, thanks.
Bless. I haven't actually tried it.
There's always one.
There's always one. I haven't tried it on a phone. I assume that they've probably made it mobile compatible.
They have, yeah. So it works on phone. It's really hard to use on a phone, just because of the size of it. But I'm on Vision West Community Trust Board, and we use Board Pro as well. And I just use my tablet for that, and that works well.
Any other questions? Okay, brilliant.
I was really interested to hear about pay source. Do you mind if I touch base with you at a later date on that?
Sure, yep.
Do you want to, look, we're all on here. Does anyone want to just spend another 10 minutes hearing about pay source? Do you want to, if you stop sharing for a second, Daniel, let's just read the room. Okay, so if you want to hear about pay source, just quickly, hand of the year. Okay, that's a clear vote of confidence, Daniel, and just hearing it.
Yeah, and feel free others to drop off if it's no longer of interest to you as well. So pay source. So let me talk to that. Just share this. So pay source, this is one where I have to be a little bit more careful in terms of what I can show you, because as soon as you enter into the portal, you're suddenly seeing all those confidential pay details. So what I'm just going to show you is just what you can see there is just some screenshots from their own site. So pay source is again another New Zealand-based platform that is available. And it's they have a model which allows you to have it free of charge, but again it depends on what function you want within it. We wanted something that meant we had to pay for it, but again it's very, very low charge in terms of its per user, per employee. But what it is we were as a trust operating off a model of, we would be collecting timesheets and spreadsheets. We would be sending them through to our accountants. They would be manually doing the payroll for us, and we would then approve it.
and it was just such a Mickey Mouse operation. So what we did was we moved to looking at a few options, and we decided on PaySource. It's got really good functionality, and also stuff that actual staff really value as well. So it's not just about what works for the management and the admin side, but what staff really value. And what that is it's just really, really straightforward for staff to use in terms of putting in their leave requests. It's also, if you're operating a timesheet system, it's really, really easy for staff to be able to key in their clock in and clock out times as well. It's from an admin perspective, it does all your payday filing, and it also even talks directly to our bank too. So we're with ASB, and what we used to have to do was to go into the ASB account and log in and do the tokens and all that sort of stuff. Whereas this actually has, it's not an API, but there's a special banking sort of language that talks to it, which means that once we press run payroll, it actually takes the money straight from the bank as well. So we don't have to do any approvals through the bank. So it does mean that we can run payroll within minutes. It's really, really straightforward, and we absolutely love it. And the staff really value it too. So I think in terms of why staff particularly love it, as well as it actually offers something that's quite unique in that there's a pay now function. So basically we have quite a few staff who are just on a living wage, and they kind of live week to week. And we really wanted to value them and see that they would be able to avoid payday lenders. It's quite a big problem in South Auckland. And what this offers is the function that means that basically, we pay staff every Tuesday, but if they've worked a couple of days of that new pay period and they're really short for cash, they can actually use this pay now function, which means that they will be paid for any hours that they've worked up until the time they put in their pay now submission. And PaySource actually cover that for you, and then it's mopped up during the actual weekly pay cycle as well. So they're able to access for any hour they've worked the money that they're actually owed for those hours. So that works really well for that particular cohort who are on the living wage, who are very much living week to week, and also in terms of the usability of the pay slips to understand them, and also that function of payroll giving is also all built into it as well. So it is really good. We haven't used the rosters function, which is something that if we did need rosters, we'd be able to make use of that as well. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's a Wellington-based company, and we've had good success with them.
Can I ask? So we use Thank You Payroll. So Tina, this would be far more functionality than that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Were you asking Tina?
Well, no. If you can answer that, that's great. I was just because Tina probably is more aware of using that. But if you can answer that, then go for it.
All I was going to say was we looked at Thank You Payroll because they are also a social enterprise, and are really committed to community. I can't remember what we had a couple of functionality requirements that we wanted, and they didn't have it, so that's why we went with PaySource. But sorry, over to you, Tina.
No, that's right. No, Thank You Payroll are very, very basic in the functionality that they offer. And I've also done research because Eco Matters, we've been talking about outsourcing our payroll for well over a year, probably 2, I think, because I've lost a year. And we ended up with looking at PaySource. That's why I was sort of interested to quiz you on a few things about it. But yeah, it's certainly something we can look at, George, because the functionality that EHA would require would be free, like Thank You Payroll. So
yeah, great. I was just thinking, definitely hubs have more complexity than we do, but yeah, it does look like there's a lot more involved in that, which is pretty cool.
Even just to do things like leave requests is just a really useful function to just have all in one place, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask you, Daniel, does that on your timesheets, can you track down to project level?
Yes, you can. You can track down to team. And those are kind of like once they're set, they're set. Is that what you mean, or are you meaning if they're if someone's working on a particular project, they're logging those hours against a project?
Yeah, so like we do our payroll fortnightly, but every fortnightly you might have a team member that's working X amount of hours on this project, X amount on this project, and so that should be tracking their actual hours to different projects.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We don't do that, but they might allow that functionality.
Okay.
We just have it to our budget, you know, to particular budgets.
To a particular team, yeah. Yeah, we sort of need to drill down to the next level. And do you find it integrates into your accounting software package easily?
Yes, we're with Xero.
Right, okay.
Any other questions for Daniel while we've got him? Okay. I think we've lost a few people, but we've done really well. You've got through quite a few things there, and I just think that's, you know, such a fantastic resource. And I've planned a few notes on the Jamboard, and we've got the recording for other people to go through this. So thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm sure that we can track you down for questions in the future as well. So thank you. I will just do a small closing karakia. Unless there are any other further questions that anyone wants to ask of Daniel. Thank you so much for your time, Daniel, and thank you to all of you for your time this afternoon as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and you've learned something. Kia whakairia te tapu, kia wātia ai te ara, kia turaki whakataha ai, kia turaki whakataha ai, homia huia taiakia. So thank you again and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Ka kite.